I've learned that Crown Royal has had a number of releases that were only available in foreign countries, like Japan, Taiwan, and even Italy, as well as a few others. So today, I will share with you my very limited knowledge on some of these foreign releases. But first, as you know, we need to roll that intro. Let's get this started with Japan. Crown Royal has probably released more whiskey in Japan than in most other countries outside of North America. Japan has had a number of whiskeys that were imported into their country that other countries have had released as well, just like the Fine Deluxe and even the limited series by way of a poker edition. But they have also had a series of releases that were very specific to just Japan, like this particular vintage shoebox. I happen to have a 1972 version of this Japanese shoebox in my collection. However, I do know that they were available from 1969 to 1983. And in the early versions from 1969 to 1975, these boxes were lined with gold cloth, and in 1976 through 1983, they switched it up to a silver cloth inside these boxes. Now, since I have happened to have brought up the subject of shoeboxes, I guess we will go ahead and move into the special edition whiskey that was released in Japan from 1992 to 1999. Now, this whiskey was released in a variety of ways. It was first released in a regular box, like the box seen here on the left, but it also came in shoe boxes as pictured on the right. Now, why do they call these shoe boxes? Well, it's because these boxes have lids that slide up and off just like a shoebox would back in the day, and maybe still today. And the bottles simply rest inside these form-fitting boxes. And also in Japan, they had a special release known as the 15-year. And these bottles, like the special edition, were only ever released in Japan. And once again, they had two different versions of this particular whiskey. And they are simply known as the 15-year vinyl and the 15-year paper. I myself am very fond of these particular bottles and their shapes. They just happen to be a bit different than anything else I've ever seen from Crown Royal, and I happen to find them a bit appealing. These were released with just the bottle and the box. No bags ever came with these particular versions. As for the Italians, well, they did not have as many releases to my knowledge. In Italy, they released what they call a 10-year black letter, as well as a 10-year red letter version. They were specific to just Italy, and I can honestly say that I'm not for sure just how many years they did this. My red letter happens to be a 1977, and my black letter does not have a dated tax strip as it was released after 1984. But these were released from the mid-70s till about the early 90s. Now, a very specific release that took place in Italy was the 15-year limited edition with a necklace. Now, in order to stop the possibility of any forgery in this particular whiskey, the 15-year limited was produced in a slightly smaller bottle than the 750 milliliter that Crown Royal uses normally in all of its other releases. This was to help prevent forgery and to stop people from just grabbing the necklace and placing it on a regular limited edition bottle, and then trying to pass it off as one of the originals. Now, this particular bottle if you ever manage to find one, will typically be quite expensive, and they do have a great value to most of your private collectors. It's well out of my price range for sure, and these bottles were only available for about 1 year in the early 1990s. So I've been told. And once again, I say only in Italy. The last thing that I wish to mention in this particular video is that the country of Taiwan did have a specific release of some nature that relates to the Canadian poker or Joker editions, as we like to call them. Now, I unfortunately know nothing about the specific release other than to say it happened a number of years ago. And there is still some confusion by many as to where the poker boxes were initially released to begin with, because some people have said Japan and others say Canada, of course. But they all say that there was this one specific release in Taiwan, and I have never been able to see that bottle, but I was given this particular photo of the back of the bottle. Now, I probably should have never even brought up Taiwan in this video, but you know me, I just couldn't help myself. Now, I would like to say thanks to the following individuals for their assistance in helping me to obtain the versions of the bottles we have talked about in this video. They are, of course, Kevin Tripp, Eric Chapman, and Francisco Cipriani. And also, a special thanks to David Dodds for lending me some of his expertise. Well, that's it for now, at least in this particular video. And as always, I wish to say thanks for watching, and please hit that subscribe button. I'm currently working to include many of the suggestions that I have been asked to look into by a few of you viewers. So please stay tuned for that, and we'll see you again real soon.